One of the biggest questions in history has been whether time exists. It sure seems like it does. I mean, the second hand on that clock on the wall will tell you this. It moves, doesn't it? But there seems to be very good reasons to believe that time is in fact an illusion. So I'm going to tell you why. We are born into an environment that we refer to as physical space. Your position in that space can be defined easily from 3 dimensions. How far you are to the left or right in the horizontal direction, how far you are up or down the vertical direction, and how far you are along this last direction. Could there be yet another direction? In physical space, not one that we can see directly. But there is one phenomenon that we are all familiar with that actually does make up that 4th dimension. This is a still frame of our 3 dimensions. But in our experience, this frame always changes. Again, and again, and again, and again. This is in fact our new dimension, the change that you see from frame to frame. What is that change? If you consider your life as being made of still frames, then as you move from frame to frame, you experience time. Time is our 4th dimension. And because we both have space and time, we now refer to this reality as space-time. There really is not that much difference between space and time because they're intimately related. Einstein made that point long ago. Now we know, or we think we know, that time is passing because things in physical space are changing. Things are moving. And they always move in a specific direction. In physical space, you are free to move in any given direction, turn around and go the other way if you like, and even stop. You have complete freedom in terms of where you want to go. But in time, you can only move in one direction, towards the future. You have, it seems, no choice in the matter. Time, it seems, always flows. It never stops. It's as if you were stuck on a moving walkway and you can't get off, ever. You're constantly moving forward, whether you like it or not. This is why, when we think of time, we are actually thinking of time flow. In other words, we are moving from the past toward the future, and not because we want to, but because we seem to be somehow pushed toward that future. So who or what is doing the pushing? Oh, I can answer that one. No one knows. Yet I do have a possible solution to this dilemma. No one is in fact pushing you toward the future because you're probably not moving in time at all. In our experience, only the present exists, and we think of the past as disappearing behind us, never to appear again, and the future as not yet existing. But in the standard view of time, in science, in this case in physics, the past, present, and future are all equally real, and they all exist at the same time. In this view, time is treated the same way as physical space. What is in the back of you is still real, and what is in front of you is already real. Similarly, in time, what happened to you yesterday is still real, and what will happen to you tomorrow is already real. If past, present, and future are already in place, just like the world around you is, time does not flow. Time does not move any more than the ground does under your feet. But this clashes with our experience. We have a very strong feeling that time, in fact, passes from past to future. Doesn't time constantly flow like a river? So what's going on? Let's briefly take a look at how strange time is. You think time is real? How real are we talking about? You already live, in a sense, in the past. When you're having a conversation with someone, you're actually experiencing that person not at that very moment, but a little bit later. It takes a fraction of a second for your brain to process the visual image of your friend as well as their voice. So you're always a little bit behind in that conversation. This time lag is much worse when it comes to looking at objects that are very far away. When you look at the moon, for example, you're seeing it the way it was a little over a second ago, because that's how long it took for its light to reach you. Now, the light of the nearest stars will take years to reach your eyes. Galaxies, millions and even billions of years. This means you're seeing these objects the way they were millions and even billions of years in the past, not right now. Give me a favor before I finish this conversation with you. If you enjoyed this type of content, like this video and subscribe. I just started this channel and will really appreciate your support. Let's say that you are very, very lucky, right? And you find a highly reflective surface that acts like a very large mirror in a galaxy whose light took 100 million years to reach you. If you had a really powerful telescope and you could see the surface of the Earth reflected in that mirror, you would literally see our long-dead dinosaurs walking on the surface. Why? Because you're seeing the image of these dinosaurs that took 100 million years to reach this mirror and another 100 to be reflected back to your eye. Personally, I would love to see that. Wouldn't you? Now, of course, all this is only because light travels at a fixed speed and it takes time to reach you. But now consider this. We know that time is like a strange clock that ticks at different rates depending on certain conditions. Einstein proposed this in his theory of relativity, and it has been verified time and time again. One of these conditions is speed. The faster you go, for example, the slower time passes for you relative to an observer who is not moving. For you, it will seem that time flows as normal until you look out the window, where things seem to have sped up. The other condition is gravity. The more the gravitational pull, the slower time passes as well. And there are real-life examples of this. Cosmonaut Sergei Krikalev, for example, traveled in orbit around the Earth for 803 days. Gravity was lower for him during that time, and it has been calculated that due to the fact that time had sped up for him relative to us, he now actually lives 0.02 seconds in our future. Just a fraction of a second, but a real effect. There's also a time dilation effect for GPS satellites, again due to the lower gravity. Since time flows at a faster rate for them, this difference must be accounted for when they send location information to cell phones. That's a good thing, or else you never find your way back home. Now, if you were to do something really crazy, like increase your speed to near the speed of light, or travel near the enormous gravity of a black hole, these effects would be extreme. So the point here is that time is not fixed. There is no universal clock that can tell you what time it is. Absolute time does not exist. Scientists and philosophers have long argued that time also does not flow. This doesn't mean that past, present, and future do not exist, but that change is the illusion. Instead, think of time as being represented by slices of frozen images, like these slices of bread. All these slices exist, and they exist all at once, and there is no change between them. It's our consciousness that somehow stitches those frozen images together. Albert Einstein said that the distinction between past, present, and future is only a stubbornly persistent illusion. Max Tegmark at MIT said, "Time is not an illusion, but the flow of time is. So is change. In space-time, the future exists, and the past doesn't disappear." So where does the illusion that time actually passes come from? Well, I'm glad you asked. It's our brain. In our next video, we'll turn to psychology and see how the brain handles time.